Somebody finds their connection with you to be very refreshing, a good change of pace as compared to what they were used to experiencing in love and partnerships. This might have been someone that was kind of fed up with the dating game. They were moving in sort of like a cynical fashion, or, kind of like, I can't get my hopes up very high because I get let down every time. And then you've come along, and like the spring, this is the energy of rebirth. This is the energy of renewal. This is the energy of vitality. Finally, I have met someone that, is checking off all of those boxes and isn't just a mirage that I am navigating towards in the desert only to be sort of let down, but you are that oasis. You are that person that it's almost like finding a needle in a haystack connecting with you. So this may be somebody that you've met online, you've got, a virtual connection, and there's a sense of like, of all the chat rooms, of all the sites that I could have been wandering through, or even just sort of casually scrolling through, and then you came in, I came across your profile, you came across my path. This person feels very lucky to have encountered you, lucky that you've hit it off with one another, lucky that you are interested in them, that, things are moving in a way in which there's a lot of hope and promise, for the future of this. This is somebody that's very optimistic for what your continued interactions with one another will bring. You're a breath of fresh air, even beyond kind of the nature of your exchanges so far. Like, just as a person, you're a breath of fresh air to what it feels like they have experienced recently in terms of the dating world, or even something where if this person, maybe hasn't really been dating that much since a last long-term connection, there's a sense of that they had set an intention to find someone that was like different from their ex, something that was a different situation from whatever had, kind of led to the energy of loss and heartbreak. And it's a sense of like, okay, good, I've done the right thing with whatever they needed to change up about their approach, their attitude, what it is that they were seeking or inviting into their life. And now they've encountered you, and there's a sense of, I've broken free of a pattern. I have truly transcended limitations. This isn't just the same type of person in another body that I'm experiencing. And so it feels like this person is very excited to continue to get to know you, to continue to pour into this connection. They're very hopeful that the seeds of potential between the two of you that have sprouted so far, or that you've been tending very diligently, these are things that are going to grow into an abundant experience moving forward. We also have seer. So this person feels like you are able to really see them as a person. You are able to see through to, the deep meaning of what they kind of want in life, what they are looking for. They feel that they connect with you beyond just sort of similar interests, or, that you find yourselves attractive, like things that you have said to this person have registered with them very deeply. This may be somebody that was kind of guarded or hesitant because they could have been manipulated by people in the past, people that sort of like learned their interests, learned their likes and dislikes, and kind of just sang a song that was a tune that they wanted to hear. And that might have led to a level of disappointment later when the mask fell off, and it's like, oh, that was just a gimmick. You were just trying to, fool me, or sort of weasel your way into my life, or, you presented like a version of self, and then we got together and another aspect of you came to the surface that was like totally different, or not what I signed on for. And so this feels like something where this person is very satisfied that what they are seeing is what they are getting with you, and also the ways in which, even if they haven't told you about that sort of hesitation or like a heightened level of discernment after experiences that they've had in the past, or maybe just dealing with a lot of just like phonies, and a lot of just like, people that are just trying to like perform, or, kind of like get attention, or put out a certain impression, people that are just not living in their authenticity. There's a sense of you're somebody very different from that. You're connecting with them in a way that is very genuine, that helps them to kind of like let their guard down or have these reassurances that like the feelings that are starting to spring up for you, that these are things that would be beneficial, that this isn't a circumstance. If they, continue to kind of pursue this connection with you, they continue to get to know you, that it's going to lead to disappointments later on, because there are things that you've said to them, or things that you've done that are very deep and meaningful confirmations for them of sort of like, okay, you understand kind of like what it is that I truly need or that I'm looking for. You're someone that's connecting with me beyond the surface level of just kind of like I say something or I express a preference and all of a sudden you're liking that too. You're on board with that too. So this person feels like you're a very genuine person. You've shown them a very authentic side of yourself, and it's really encouraging them to continue to kind of let their walls down and let themselves be seen by you for who they are. We also have memory, so there's definitely a sense of familiarity. This could be like a past life connection. There may have been already some deja vu that has happened here, or a sense of like it's so easy to connect with you. It feels like I'm not meeting you for the first time, but we're just kind of picking up where we left off from in a previous lifetime, or like you're somebody that was a friend that I had to kind of like move in the other direction from, and we've reconnected, our paths have crossed again, and it's as if no time has passed. For some of you that can be the case. This can be somebody that has like come back around, your lives are once again aligned with one another. But for a lot of you, this feels just like a new person, that there's a level of kind of like, yeah, this feels right. This registers with a part of me inside that remembers safety, remembers kind of feeling comfortable in being vulnerable or getting to know someone, or sharing my time and energy with someone in a way that kind of transcends or was beyond or before times where you were disappointed, times where you were hurt, times where you were betrayed. And this person is really feeling that as well. There's a sense too that you are helping this person to kind of remember what it is to take a chance on love or opening up emotionally without the fear of being hurt. Like every little reassurance that they get, maybe things that you've done to go out of your way to reassure them, that you're like comfortable with what they're putting forward, you honor and respect their boundaries, or just things that in the course of being yourself have provided these kind of silent reassurances to them in ways that you're not even aware of, but they are consciously looking at. It's almost like, okay, now I remember what it is to be sort of expecting the best when it comes to opening my heart, as opposed to, sort of anticipating the worst to happen. So you're helping this person sort of remember what it is to kind of like loosen up emotionally, what it is to kind of, experience the freshness and the newness of getting to know someone, not with kind of like, okay, how long is this going to last? Where's this going to go? Let's go through almost like an interview process of a series of questions, and, you're either going to pass or fail. This is somebody that is kind of like the experiences with you have transcended all of that, and they like where things are going very naturally and very organically. Like it feels like second nature to have exchanges with you, or it feels like second nature. The idea of like, I'm developing these deep feelings, I'm developing an intense interest in you, I'm moving in that direction of like, I think I could fall in love with you, or you could help me to remember what it feels like to be in love. We also have the prophet. So there's a part of this person that may feel that you are like a destined person on their path. Something where they feel like you are somebody who is meant to align with like a next chapter of their reality, that you were foretold almost. Like if they learned certain lessons, or, put a stop to things that were only sort of lowering their vibration, if they got out of a toxic situation and did their best to try and course correct any tendencies, habits, or behaviors within them that had kind of contributed to that or participated something in a long term, then there was almost like, then you're guaranteed to experience something different and better. So this is something where this person is like congratulating themselves for the hard work, maybe of like stepping away from loving connections, or, dating for a period of time. This person could have like chosen to be single out of a long-term relationship instead of just like diving very quickly into something. And so there's a sense that if that's the case, that they made a promise to themselves, like I'm gonna stay single for a year, I'm gonna stay single for a couple of years, I'm gonna work on myself, I'm gonna get to know myself again, I'm gonna make sure that I'm not just ending up in the same situation once more, or that I'm bringing all that baggage to somebody else's doorstep. And if I do that, then that's the best thing I can think of to ensure that I know that I'm doing my part to experience different results, to experience something better in love. This is somebody that took the time, it feels like, to take responsibility for their part in whatever fell apart in a previous connection or series of connections, but they've also assigned blame where it was due to other partners. And so in that process of what may have been some very difficult shadow work, this person could have aligned with some kind of like self-help process. They've done some introspecting, they might have kind of cut other things out of their life and sort of just focused on what they needed to do, kind of like maybe going to work, focusing on their health, getting more spiritual, getting more in touch with their emotions, different sorts of things. It feels like a lot of kind of like hermit mode activity, things where they might not have had people that would have understood that, that could have been just like, dude, you're out of a relationship, go wild, go meet someone, you'll get over that heartbreak when you meet someone else. And that might have been something that they did in the past, and it just sort of led to the same disappointment. So after the last breakup, it's like, no, I'm going to try something different this time because I want to experience something different. Because this person is kind of like aware enough to connect the dots, like, hey, there's a pattern here. I'm the common denominator in all these circumstances. So rushing right into something after something else ends, that's not the solution. So this person has like taken some time to themselves. They've taken some time to get to know themselves and to work on what they can and to accept what they can't or choose not to work on, or that they feel might be something that they've got to have another person to work on certain things, because we can only do so much with ourselves. It requires, having actual interactions or attempting relationships with others to see our blind spots, to see our strengths, to kind of know what has worked and what needs to either be discarded or improved upon. And so through this process of being very diligent about that, pouring into themselves before trying to pour into another person, it's almost like you're here on the other side of that process. And it's like, okay, I made the right choice. That was right. This was foretold that there would be like a better way to connect, or a better type of person that I was able to find or magnetize in. I find that needle in the haystack if I first, look towards myself. If I, held myself to a higher standard or became more mindful about my choices. And so this is somebody that feels like that they're not just excited to kind of like get to know you as a person, or sort of like the way things are evolving at this point, but there's a sense of like feeling that this opportunity with you is a reward for something that they have invested within themselves. Yeah, we also have the scales. So this is somebody that feels like that wants to give more to this connection. They're really happy about the level of reciprocity that's going on, respect that you have for this person, for their alone time, for, their need to kind of like focus on their life. They love the fact that you're not pushy, you're not needy, you're not like, texting them 10 times in a row, or, kind of like giving them a hard time if they're needing to take time for themselves, that you're able to kind of redirect the focus towards you as well. They feel that you are somebody who brings all the qualities to the table that can allow for an empowered connection where two people are very sovereign in their own power, very secure within themselves, and are then able to kind of meet on a higher ground. They're seeing that that's already the case there. There may have already been circumstances where things came up. They needed to cancel plans. They were busy. They didn't have a whole lot of time to talk, or, just other things going on in their life, or somebody that wasn't wanting to kind of move too quickly. They didn't want to go from like you're a stranger to we're talking every day right away. And so there may have been some kind of, holding back, or like a boundary in place. Maybe that's even something you suggested, you brought to the table. And if that's the case, that was really like a green flag for this person. It's like, yeah, that works really well for me, so that I can acclimate to this, so that I can take my time to, tend to my own needs and who I am as a person, while also exploring kind of this new and intriguing situation with you. So whatever you've been doing, however you've been showing up in this connection so far, it's resonating with this person on a level that feels, yeah, this is a balance of give and take, and it's encouraging them to want to give more time, give more attention, to continue to progress forward with you. We also have Luna Moth, so it feels like this person's feelings for you are, kind of blossoming behind the scenes. They may not be fully ready yet to express how they feel to you, but there's a sense of like, if this is a connection that has true long-term potential, then you're going to respect the fact that I'm a little bit slow to, kind of open up and express my feelings. Or maybe it's early on in the connection and they're like, you know what, I'm not just going to rush into like saying I love you or, expressing things on a deep emotional level, because I want to make sure that I'm ready. I want to make sure this is real. I want to make sure that, you are able to kind of keep up with me or keep pace with me, or that we're on the same page as far as like, yeah, the romantic lovey-dovey stuff is great, but in a practical way, are we able to tolerate and like one another as people, both when we're easy to get along with and when we're moody, through the things that we have both going on in our lives that like demand our attention. At the times where it's like, yeah, we're able to connect and everything works out, we're able to follow through on plans, and the times where it's kind of like, hey, I need to redirect my focus for a while, or something's come up and I'm not going to be able to follow through on that. So this is somebody that it feels like they see a lot of future potential here, but they're definitely playing their cards very close to their chest. It feels like this person is very like sensitive. So when they love very deeply. This person is loyal almost to what might be described as a fault. That may be something that other people have kind of used that against them in their past. So they got, they worked on the baggage, but they still have baggage. Everybody does. So this is something where this person is trying to like honor that where they're at, to not let that be an obstacle or a hindrance, but sort of like, okay, if this part of me can still find space with you, or maybe there's like, I know you want to hear me talk about my feelings, I know you want, promises to be made and follow through to happen on that, but I'm not ready for that, and I'm still just showing up for you consistently in the best way that I can. Are you able to walk with me through this period of time where it's like, yeah, I want to open my heart to you completely, but I also want to make sure that this is something that we're not just going to waste one another's time, that we're both ready for this, that we're both like really wanting the same thing and able to give to each other in the same way. We also have the architect. So this person definitely has plans for forward momentum here. This is somebody that they like the foundation that you have built with one another so far. This is somebody that wants to continue to spend time with you, to have different types of interactions than you have already, so that you can kind of get to know one another in a more well-rounded capacity. This is somebody that may even be kind of like secretly behind the scenes, they're making plans or they're setting the intention of like a future date and time. Something that it's like, if everything goes well up to this point, I want to bring you to this function with me. If everything goes well up to a certain point in time, I want to try to get together in person. If everything goes well up to a certain point in time, I want to move beyond just kind of like, we're texting on the phone or DMs back and forth and we have our first FaceTime. We're chatting in that sense. We're looking at one another face to face behind a screen. So this is somebody that doesn't want to like rush that process, but there's almost a sense of trying to use this distance or even the newness of the connection to the advantage. Kind of like they're optimistic for the future, but they're really working with where the two of you are at right now, not trying to almost like, put on the brakes or make this sort of a slow and steady connection, but there's a sense of like, they might have learned the hard way what it means to kind of rush into things. This is somebody that, they're trying their best to kind of be very present with you in the here and now and anticipate that this will lead to something very beautiful in the future. But with whatever they had been through previously or like a series of connections, it may be something where as much as they might, their heart might want to move forward, their intellect, their mind, their logic may be like, whoa, you need to really check that. You need to really make sure. Because this person, if they feel very deeply, they also, it's like soul crushing devotion that can crush them if it doesn't work out. So be patient with this person, enjoy the ride, and do know that this person sees future potential between the two of you beyond just kind of what the nature of your interactions are right now. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. Like or comment to claim these energies. Subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more content that I put out here. Don't forget to hit the bell button to get notifications every time I post a new video. And if you would like to book a personal reading with me, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link for that below. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.